Hi, I'm Tim Bartz, Internet Sales Manager here at McArthur Ford, Salina, Kansas. Your source for Ford news, update, and information, including your scheduling information on a Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys are finding this video well and you're doing good. And this video is really for those that have a order placed with their dealer, and they're trying to figure out, when they're going to get a production date, when they're going to get it scheduled for production. And that's what this is about. Because once you place your order, the next thing that needs to happen is your order needs to be picked up by Ford for a scheduled production date. And that is done there for each dealership has a set of allocations and such. We'll get into more of that, but now you're kind of waiting for that to happen. And we'll talk a little more about what the chances are for your order to get selected and some things to keep in mind if you're waiting for yours to get scheduled for that production date. And then it'll get produced and then delivered to you. So it's a little timely thing that we have to go through. So let's jump in here. Now, if you like videos like this or want to stay updated on Ford news, make sure you subscribe with that bell notification turned on so you don't miss any of these videos. So let's jump in here and talk about the terminology first. Now what we're talking about here is when you place an order with a dealer, that order is placed in what they call the order bank. That's where dealer places all their stock and the retail orders. Now, what's the difference? A retail order is a customer placed order. That is an order that Ford deems is going right to the customer. So as soon as it gets built, gets to the dealership, then the dealership's going to sell it to a particular customer in mind. Stock order, that is an order that's placed by the dealer for stock or lot inventory. So that is for, that inventory that's on the lot. So when somebody comes in, needs to buy a vehicle, they have basically some shopping abilities and some vehicles to take a look at, right? To drive and that kind of thing. Priority code, that's a priority that's given to the orders by the dealer. So a 03 to 19 is a retail order priority code. A 20 to 80 is stock. So the lower the better, which is why retail orders are looked at before stock orders for scheduling. Now, scheduling, that's when Ford schedules an order for production dates in the future months. So production date, that is when Ford plans to build your order. So a lot of times when we talk about this, it's going to get scheduled for production date in the future. So it's not going to get scheduled and then get built. They have to schedule that ahead of time so they have the parts and everything else and the availability to produce your vehicle and build the vehicle. Production date, that is when Ford plans to build it, put it together, build it. And first, it'll get scheduled to the week. That can move around if they're having issues with parts or whatever when that changed on them and they didn't realize. Sometimes that happens. Then sometimes those orders need to get moved back to production dates where they can build that particular order. Allocations. This is important because allocations are basically the currency for scheduling and for production. So Ford gives dealers allocations to schedule their orders. Now, a dealer needs an allocation to schedule an order in the order bank. So just having an order in there doesn't mean it's going to automatically get a scheduled build date the next time they schedule. The dealer has to have an available allocation. A dealer earns those allocations based on their sales of each model within their region. And every month can be different. And, and it's not on a weekly basis. They earn them at the beginning of a month, or actually they earn it on the 20th of the month, and then they figure out how many they're going to get, and any extra allocations they're going to get is determined by the beginning of the month, and then they'll start scheduling for those particular allocation numbers for a couple weeks after that. So typically we'll see a new refresh about the second week of the month. Constraints, that is an option that may be in short supply or taking longer to build. Capacity, that's the planned production rate for a given motor trim and option, which dictates those allocations and the ability to build those. Job 1 and 2, that production will be split into different runs. Job 1 and 2, if they need to make some changes, they make those changes for the second half of the year for second half of production. Balance out, that's the end of production or the balance out of a particular option or model year for a particular vehicle. So, all right. Hopefully that helps out. And if you have any questions, drop those down in the comments and we'll answer those the best we can. Now, let's first talk about the 26 model year Mustang. And we're going to go through each of the models at this point. So 26 Mustang is next. The order banks are open up for the 26 model year. Don't worry about if you can't, it's not on Ford's website. It's not, the building price isn't there. That building price is just a kind of a fun thing for you to be able to see and try to build it out. That does not dictate when order banks open up. So just so you're aware of that. So I know that like Mustang, Escape, Explorer, none of those order guides are on build and price yet on Ford.com. but the order banks are open up. They are scheduled this week for production dates the week of 9/29 through 10/27. Main commitments, which means this is not just retail only. Sometimes they'll do a retail only week, and that was last week. This is main commitment, so that means a retail will be looked at, but then also a stock could get scheduled too, based on the configuration. It does say in here exhausted availability for the 5.0 liter engine and the 2.3, which is kind of hard because that's the only two engines they have. So go figure that. But it does say in here, don't forget on stock that for the Night Pony package is not available for stock orders. So dealers need to remove that if they have those on the stock orders to get the stock order scheduled for production dates. All right. Next up is the 26 model year Escape. The order banks are open up for them, those as well. They are scheduled this week too, the weeks of 9/29 through 10/27. Main commitment. So that means that if there's not retail orders in there with the configuration that they can schedule, then they will look for those stock orders that the dealers have in there to schedule to use those allocations on. Important note in here, we mentioned this last week as well. The 19-inch machine face ebony painted aluminum wheel for the ST Line Select is now available. So that should help the ST Line Select if you're wanting those. All right, that's the only note there. Next up is the 25 model year Bronco Sport. The order banks are open up for the 25 model year Bronco Sport. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of 9/29 through the weeks of 10/27. And a main commitment, which again means retail and stock will be looked at for using allocations. It says orders with the engine block heater will not be selected for scheduling. And then very limited exhausted availability for the Badlands version, the Big Bend version, the Heritage version, the Badlands Tech package, and also the 17-inch Oxford white painted aluminum wheel that's standard on the Heritage, and the 17-inch carbonized gray painted low gloss aluminum wheels on the Big Bend. So it mentions the different trim levels, but then also mentions other parts like wheels and a package. The reason those trim levels are exhausted is because of those wheels that are standard on those, right? So if you were to look at a Big Bend and you go with the optional wheel, because now you can add the optional black diamond wheel, then that's probably more likely to get that Big Bend order to get selected. So that is a way around that. So keep that in mind for those that are looking at the Big Bend trim. Go with that optional wheel. It's a pretty cool looking wheel, and that'll probably make yours more readily available to get scheduled. Also on the Badlands, if you were to order that without the tech package, there's more than likely that that Badlands trim would get selected for scheduling. And then Oxford or the Heritage Edition, that's the only wheel, so you can't do anything there. So just cross your fingers and see if you get lucky and you're one of the select few. Because exhausted to limit or very limited exhausted doesn't mean it's not available at all. It's just it's going to be difficult, right? Depending on dealers' allocations and if you get one of those lucky few. All right, next up. The 25 model year Bronco order banks are open up for the Bronco, and they will be open up for a while. 26 model year, they've already said is not going to open up until October. So we know that you're going to be able to order a 25, and they'll probably produce the 25s into at least through the month of November, I would think. All right. Main commitment, again, means retail and stock will be used. A very limited exhaust availability for the base trim. That's really the only thing that's a constraint here. Otherwise, we're good to go on about every configuration. So feel blessed at this point to be able to order what you want and get it scheduled as long as the dealer has an allocation. All right. Next up is the 25 model year Mustang Mach-E. The order banks are open up for the Mach-E. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of 9/29 through the weeks of 10/27. Retail scheduling only. They didn't schedule last week, so this week they'll do retail only. So, and it does say here Florida retail orders will be scheduled this week. I don't know why they had that note in there. Anyway, all right, next up is the 26 model year Explorer. The order banks are open up. Again, unlike, just because building price isn't on Ford.com doesn't mean you can't order. You can order Explorer now. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of 10/13 to the weeks of 10/27. Main commitment, again, means retail and stock will be looked at for scheduling. And then very limited exhaust availability for the active trim, the ST line version, the ST version, the trimmer version with the 3.0 EcoBoost engine, that is, the 20-inch ebony painted machined aluminum wheel, which is standard on ST line, the black painted roof, the ST line street package, the Tremor Ultimate also that's where you get the 3.0. So that's sometimes they'll put that in there, but really it's because this package is limited because of the 3.0, which we mentioned earlier. Also, the security code keyless entry keypad. That's the one that the expensive one that's hardwired in. So, all right. So that's all the notes on that. So, all right. Next up is the 25 model year Expedition. The order banks are opened currently. Well, actually, it doesn't say that they're open currently for the 25 model year. It does say 26 will open up this Friday, the 22nd. The 26 model year order bank will open up. It does say in here. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of 9/29 through the weeks of 11/10. This is balance out scheduling for the Expedition. So they want to finish out. It's like we got more allocations than normal because they're not just scheduling for 1 month, the month of October. They're also scheduling for the 2 weeks into November. So they will switch over the middle of November to the 26 model year. So order banks will find out more information. In fact, if you're wanting to know what's different between 25 and 26, I'll have a video that'll go live hopefully Friday night, if not Saturday. So be looking for that video, and we'll let you guys know what all has changed between 25 and 26. Hopefully that device holder will be available at the launch of 26, and we'll keep you posted on that. But it doesn't say in here whether or not 26 model year order banks are open up, and I haven't tried to look that up. So if you're on the live stream tonight, I'll be able to let you know because I'll check it out when I'm done recording this video. So, all right, next up is the 25 model year Maverick. The order banks are open up for the 25 model year. It does say in here that they are scheduled this week for the weeks of 9/22 to the weeks of 10/27. Main commitment, again, that means stock in retail. Says trimmer version is not available. In fact, you can't order one, and they're not going to schedule one. This point, I did look. I tried to order one, and you can't. Lobo orders, they need Lobo orders, and sorry Ford, but we are booked up. We have about 20 Lobos in stock, and we don't need to order any. But other dealers, they need them to order. Very limited exhaust availability for the front wheel drive, also the XL version, and the 4K tow package and the XLT luxury package. So those are the constraints right now. Of course, a lot of scheduling did happen last week. But for those that didn't, it still has allocations available. Those are some of the things you want to kind of work around if possible. Now, on a retail order, you wouldn't want to work around that. But this is really more for stock orders for dealers. It's basically the factory saying, hey, dealers, you want to use those other allocations. You don't have a retail order. Try this. Here's some things that are probably going to be an issue and a struggle. So looking at a Lariat, looking at a standard XLT without the 4K tow package, that would work. Stay away from front wheel drive, right? That kind of thing. So, all right. Next up is a 25 model year Ranger. The order banks are open up for the 25, just like with the Bronco. That'll probably 26 model year order bank probably won't open up until October. So they're probably going to be producing 25 Rangers into the month, at least probably through the month of November. All right. This week, they are scheduling for the weeks of 9/29 through the weeks of 10/27. Main commitment, again, that means retail in stock we looked at, as long as the dealer has an allocation. And it does say in here, for Raptor orders not in preview, please consider to remove 47R. That's the Raptor exterior graphics to have a better chance at getting it scheduled. So very limited exhaust availability is that Raptor graphics, also the black appearance package, and the black running boards. So those are things that are constrained. Now those last two don't have to do, they have to do with non-Raptors, but on the Raptor, the exterior graphics. So sometimes that's what it takes. It's just taking that Raptor graphics off. So if you don't want that, then just sit tight and just wait another month. All right. Next up is the 26 model year Super Duty. Order banks are open up for the Super Duty, and they are scheduled this week at Kentucky as well as Ohio for the weeks of 9/1 to the weeks of 9/22. It does remind us, just like it does every week, that they need some F250 and 350 XL, XLT, and Lariat versions with the 6.8 liter gas, the 7.3 liter diesel, and the 6.7 diesel for all cabs. So it doesn't mention. So there you go. And they need some without the console. So on some of that, it says say for the F250, 350, XL, XLT, or Lariat for Super Cab without the bucket seats, without the console. And then on Crew Cab with the long wheelbase without the bucket seats. So there you go. Very limited exhaust availability for the Platinum Plus package, also the Lariat Premium package, and the Max Recline seats. Limited availability for the King Ranch version and the tailgate step. So there you go. All right. Next up is a 25 model year F-150. The order banks are open up for the F-150. They are scheduled this week at Dearborn for the weeks of 9/29 through the weeks of 10/13, and at Kansas City for the weeks of 10/6 to the weeks of 10/13. And it does say in here for King Ranch and Platinum versions that tailgate flex step option 63T, I think that's the Pro Access tailgate. It does say is currently unavailable. It says for the XLT and Lariat versions, please note that the new standard wheel is an 18-inch painted aluminum wheel. And then also, just like every week, 5.0 STX is a retail only order. Limited availability for the 3.5 Power Boost, the hybrid, which is crazy because they said that's full availability, but now it's limited. So evidently people took them up on that. Also, the 20-inch gloss black wheel that's included in the STX black appearance package. And then also very limited exhausted for the Raptor R. So there you go. There's that. All right. Next up is a 25 model year F-150 Lightning. Order banks are open up for the Lightning. They are not scheduled this week. So, and then lastly, 26 model year Transit. The order banks are open up for the Transit. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of 9/15 to the weeks of 10/13. And there's no constraints or anything on any of the items on the Transit. So there you go. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. Feel free. I'll answer any questions that I can. We are going to be live tonight. If you have any questions you want to get off your chest tonight, I can answer those during the live stream. If you'd like to, come on over for that. And otherwise, yeah, I'll get back to you as soon as I can down below in the comments. All right. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, best of luck for everybody getting scheduled. If you're got an order placed, again, have that conversation with your dealers because allocation is king. If they have no allocations, doesn't matter what these sheets say, you won't get scheduled. So even if it shows it's available and shows there's no constraints, it doesn't matter. If a dealer doesn't have an allocation that you have your order with, you will not get selected for scheduling. So that's the first conversation, is to find out, do they have allocations for this week on orders? Like for us, an example of that is Bronco. We had 21 allocations last week. We had 21 orders scheduled. So we have zero. We are currently, even though they are scheduled this week at Bronco, we have no allocations. So anybody with an order with us would not get selected for scheduling because of that reason. So again, have that conversation because every dealer is going to be a little bit different. So hopefully this does help you out. Smash the like button if it did. And until then, make sure you subscribe, the bell notification turn on so you don't miss any of our videos. And we have some fun videos. Like I said, Expedition, if you're interested in that, we'll be doing a video at the end of this week on what's changed, what's new, what's different for 26 model year. Order guide should come out on Friday. So hopefully either Friday night or Saturday morning, you'll have that video out for you guys. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And until the next one, stay positive, be kind to one another, be kind to yourself. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.